Hello everyone, it's Nan. Today we're talking about a story, and this is like a story in history, I would say, of the United States. Not only a single person, not the whole United States. First, this story name is called A Crafty Escape. So, A Crafty Escape. So, who is the craft? So, in this story, have the craft is Alan and William. So, his name is Alan Craft and William Craft. So Alan Craft and William Craft were born into slavery. Alan was born by a white man and a black man, so people didn't know because she's so white that people didn't know that her mother's black. So her mother is also a slave, and then she was born to a slave. And then when she was 11, I think, she go to be something to help her half married sister, and then they moved to somewhere close to William Craft. So then they meet together and they have love, and then they want to marry. But if you marry when you're slave, it's not that easy, because first you need to ask permission from the enslavers. Because there's two slavery, so they need to ask two enslavers, and then they got the permission to wear. So then they get married and wanted to live their life together. But they only can see sometimes, apart. Because two people in slavery, so they need to work different place. And they work nearly for free. So they really want to escape and live together with their family. So they plan escape to the free state. It's the North. The North mostly have a free state. So there's about 18 states in the North that's free, and I think 15 state in the South that is just slave state. So what they planning is maybe Ellen, because she's so white, she can be a white person, a man or a woman, I would say. In the first they get woman and go with their slavers to new slave states, so they can live. Because if slaves are there, they would say you're free, you're officially free. So they were trying to do that, but at that time, women would not go alone, and especially go with slavery. So they sing another one, and then must be pretend to be a white man. So a white man that have some bandage on head and arm. So that would be the best excuse to go with their slaveries, and to excuse to not write anything like tickets, sign the tickets. So that's gonna make them not be discovered, and because they didn't go to school, they don't know how to write word or read word. Next is that's the end. So they get in the first train at Christmas in 1848. So because sometimes enslaver will give slaveries time to rest, means stay with their family for some days, and and they go back to work only often. So the enslaver did give permission, and they go for the first trip. So the first trip, they need to go through segment, multi-train, and boats, So the first one, they go through, just a normal train. Then, William need to duck down the chair. For some reason, is sharp. Maybe it's like the seller of his shop, maybe it's shopkeeper. And he sees the shopkeeper. And of course, if you're slavery and you see shopkeeper, the slavery is running. So the shopkeeper will catch William. So he had to duck down, shake in fear. But luckily, that when he come, the bell ring. The train ring. So they need to get down off the train, and the man go out. So William was safe. Of course, Ellen have a scare of her own. So he also scared because the person that sit next to her is her enslaver friends and have known Ellen for years. So she like to make like trying to be deaf. So people were saying he can't hear. So I don't want to talk to him. So people will not talk to him. I would say, but hers disguised as him. So you would say him when you're talking to other people. So disguise like that, you would not have to talk because you're a man right now. You're disguised as a man. If you talk, you sound like a woman. So they will know, and you will give yourself out. So that would be very dangerous, and you might get caught and get punished. So at the end, they go to the first they want to go to closest free state is Pennsylvania, but they go to Boston in Georgia. It's also a free state, and they have home, living with their friends. They have jobs. They do very greatly. They have a very good life, not for long. And then the new rule passed. The rule say if you two put their escapee back to the south with their enslavers, and if you don't, the people that escapee will be fined $1,000, and the people who help escapee will fine $1,000. No, say escapee don't fine, it just go back. But the people who help escapees, the slaveries, will fine $1,000. A big sum of money that's not. So here's a compare. There's a person that owns most of the railroad tracks in America, and at the end of his life is on about $105 million. And at that time, that was just a lot. If you want to compare, it's about $185 billion today. So that is a lot, and if you say that, the differences is come to millions of difference, like more than about 1,500 differences, the money. So $1 at that time is about $1,500 at this time. Like compare like that, just think like that. Because some people at that time they have a week and they work for $1, but our time they can work for a lot of money. So because there's a bounty hunter go to Boston, so they can move again. They don't want to live in fear, so they move at December 1850 to England because they already abolished slavery, so they were slaves. Because they spoke about slavery in England, and when 1860 they write about the escape story. And then in 1870, they returned back to America and Georgia because now slavery is illegal. So they don't need to scare it. So they can live. They started some school, but first one get burned down, second one get forced to stop down. So they live with their daughter the rest of their life. So that they achieve what they want the most. Living with the family without getting torn off by slavery. So that's all our story. So what do we learn after the story? We learned that slavery is wrong, and you might discover some new things with the story. Like you can plan for some big things, and even when it's maybe dangerous, you can still do it if you want your dream to happen. Okay, that's all about my video. I hope you enjoy. Goodbye. See you next time.